Hi folks, welcome back to Stacey Can. Today I am making a plum, pear, and thyme shrub. And while I go over all this information, please follow along down below in the show notes and hit like and subscribe while you're down there because that does help. Now, as you know, I love a good cocktail shrub or a mocktail shrub. There's no alcohol in shrubs. These are just really great mixers for if you want to make a cocktail or if you want to just brighten up your favorite seltzer water or sparkling water, or you can add it to Sprite or ginger ale. There's a variety of ways to enjoy a nice little shrub, but you have to like vinegar. So the ingredients in all of this is 2 cups of apple cider vinegar, and then 2 cups of turbinado sugar, more on both the vinegar and the sugar in a minute, 3 plums that are chopped and de-pitted. I'm using my preserved plums, so more on that as well. 2 pears that are chopped and de-seeded, and I do have a peeler out here. I'm not going to peel them because it's not needed. And then 8 sprigs of thyme. You need that's the ingredients. Regarding the vinegar, I am using just plain old regular processed apple cider vinegar. It's 5% acidity. That's not really necessary for this recipe, although I think it should be. You double check that. But I am not using the raw vinegar that's unprocessed, etc. I'm just using, because we're gonna be cooking with it. So there's no need to use the really good vinegar if you're cooking, because you kind of cook all that goodness out of it. So I'm using just regular straight apple cider vinegar. The turbinado sugar, and I could be saying that totally wrong, but this is, and you might look at it and go, well, isn't that brown sugar? It is not. They're similar, they're very similar, and you can kind of use them as cooking substitutes with a few caveats. So the deal with the turbinado sugar is that it's actual, no sugar is technically raw, because in order to get sugar, you have to process the sugar cane. So what happens with turbinado sugar is that they break it down and process it, cook it, whatever, and then they don't turn it into white sugar. As a result, it just retains all of the natural molasses that are actually contained in regular sugarcane raw sugar. So, but if brown sugar, the sugar cane is processed into white sugar and they extract all of the molasses out of it, and after they get it into white sugar, then they add molasses back in, and as a result it has a much it's got more molasses flavor, especially if you're using a dark brown sugar. You'll notice the raw sugar, it's got a darkness to it as well, but it's also, the crystals are bigger than the brown sugar, and there's more water in brown sugar. So if you're going to be doing some sugar substitutes, consider those things, especially if you're baking. It could have an impact with brown sugar having a little more water in it. It could have an impact on making whatever you're doing a little too liquidy, but it just depends. So just check out those measurements there, but you can use this. So I'm using the raw sugar here. So we've got 2 cups of the turbinado raw sugar. Now, it is not plum season, but I am choosing to make this anyway because I preserved plums over the summer, and I might be adjusting the sugar here because I'm going to be using all this gorgeous, liquid and such that I used when I made my plum preserves. So more on that in a little bit as I go through it. So the tools, you do need a whisk, just kind of whisk things up and etc. I'm not going to peel the pears, but if you want to peel them, you can. You need a knife, and you need a stock pot to cook all of this stuff into. So with all that, let's go ahead and get started. Quick little side note, I got this fantastic shrub recipe from this great little cocktail book that I got as a gift from a lovely neighbor. And it's called Drinking Like Ladies, 75 Modern Cocktails from the World's Leading Female Bartenders. And it's got some shrub recipes in here as well as other great, fantastic cocktail recipes. And it's a really fun gift if you want to, for that person you love. Great gift idea, or just get it for yourself because they've got really good drinks in here if that suits your fancy. So let's continue. First thing I'm going to do is measure out the ingredients and get them prepped to be combined. This recipe calls for 3 plums that are pitted and chopped. So I am using the preserved plums that I made over the summer, and so I'm just pulling out the plums at the moment because I'm going to use these as is, and I'm going to cut them up a little bit. But I'm also going to measure out the liquid, and there's some chunky pieces in there too. So I've got just over a half of a just over a cup. It's not it's not. It's just over a cup. I might take some of it out. Yeah, here's some pieces there. So I'm going to use this. So I've measured out just 1 cup of the turbinado sugar, and then I'm going to use this liquid as part of the sweetener because it's got a lot of the plum flavor in it, and this is a simple syrup in there too that I use, so it's going to add the sweetness needed. So I don't need to add any more, and so this will kind of meld those flavors together. And I'm choosing to use all of this simple syrup that comes with it, just to because it's got that plum flavor in it. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm gonna keep going. Got the vinegar here, the 2 cups of vinegar in the pot, and I've got it on high heat because we're gonna bring this to a boil. So I got this up to a boil here, and so I'm gonna pour in the sugar, and I'm gonna reduce the heat to a simmer. We're gonna get this sugar nice and dissolved. Okay, so this is the part where we add all the plums and the pears, but because my plums and pears, or my plums, have already been cooked, I'm gonna add them at the end. So now I'm gonna bring this up to a slow boil, and then we'll set a timer. Now I've got a little bit of a low boil going here with the pears, so I've set a timer for 15 minutes. And you do want to stir occasionally just to make sure it doesn't burn, but I think that would be more of an issue with plums because pears are floating. And feel free to lower the heat because this should just be a real low boil. The 15-minute timer has gone off, but I'm going to keep the heat on, and I'm going to pour in the syrup that was from the pears, and I'm going to add the pears here as well. That from the, not pears, this is plums. I keep saying plums. Pears are already in the pot, so I'm adding the plums, and I'm just gonna bring it back up to a boil, just to make sure everything's heated through. All right, so I've got it to a boil. I'm gonna cut the heat, and that was just a real low boil, just to meld all those flavors together. And now I'm putting in the 8 sprigs of thyme, and I'm gonna just kind of plop these around a little bit here. And I'm gonna let this cool, and when it cools, we can strain it. So the shrub has cooled off now, and I have a bowl here with a sieve that I've lined with cheesecloth, and I wet the cheesecloth and wrung it out. I like doing that before, and I do that with jelly bags too. You gotta wet them first, and that way the juices and such don't just run into the cloth itself, but will go through it much easier. And I'm gonna ladle some of this in. Just makes it a little easier for me, a little cleaner too. And I'm ladling it through because we've got some big pieces. And you don't necessarily have to do the cheesecloth. You can just do the sieve if you want. I'm choosing to use the cheesecloth because I have the plums are really soft because I canned them first. And that's gonna give them an opportunity to kind of strain out a little bit better, or it would be really fibrous. So that's what I'm doing here. Got it strained. It's a really beautiful color too. I don't know if it would be this purpley without the preserved plums. Look at this gorgeous color. It is bright and almost cranberry-esque, but a little more maroon because it's plum. but it's gorgeous. This is beautiful and it tastes amazing. I'm gonna give it a little taste. It's really, really, really good. I think it's a little bit brighter in color, or in this more maroon color, because I did use my preserved plums for it, which was a great choice because it's very plum forward and I love it. This would be great. You can add, again, this is Shrubs make cocktail making simple, in my opinion, because you did a lot of work here. So the cocktail making is just pouring a glass full of ice, putting in an ounce or two of this, with a spirit if you'd like a gin or vodka, or I think this would go well with whiskey or bourbon. It would bring out a nice flavor there. And then you can pour in some sparkling water, soda water, whatever suits your fancy there. This could also be nice in a glass with some champagne or sparkling wine. It would just to brighten up and give it a real pretty, fruity looking, happy glass of whatever you're choosing. It's got great flavor. It's really, really delicious, and I'm very spoiled. So I highly recommend this. And the thyme, it's just a hint of thyme in there, so it kind of cuts some of that sweetness and some of that some of the vinegar, but it's very, very good, very good. So that's how you make it. Now the recipe is down below, and while you're down there, please hit like and subscribe because it does help. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, concerns, by all means, please reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey Can. You can add me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey Can. My website is www.staceycancan.com. My email is info@staceycancan, and LinkedIn at Stacey Can. Thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy canning